Imagine, if you will, a land nestled between two great rivers, a place we now call Mesopotamia. The sun beats down with an unforgiving intensity, the earth is cracked and dry in some places yet lush and fertile in others, all thanks to the life-giving waters of the Tigris and the Euphrates. This is the Fertile Crescent, a cradle of life. And it was here, over 6,000 years ago, that a story began, a human story unlike any that had come before. It is the story of a people known as the Sumerians. They arrived in this land with a vision, a spark of ingenuity that would set the world on a new course forever. From the fertile soil, something new began to rise. Not just crops, but communities. These settlements grew larger, more complex and more organized. They became the world's very first cities, Uruk, and Eridu. They were bustling hubs of human activity, with populations numbering in the tens of thousands. How do you manage a city? How do you keep track of all that grain in the temple storehouse? How do you send a message to a neighboring king? The Sumerians faced these complex problems, and their solutions were nothing short of genius. They needed a way to record information, and so, they invented one of the most powerful tools in human history, writing. It started simply, with pictures representing objects. A picture of a head of barley meant a head of barley. But soon, these pictographs evolved into a more sophisticated system of wedge-shaped marks pressed into wet clay. We call it cuneiform. This invention changed everything. For the first time, knowledge could be recorded and passed down through generations with perfect accuracy. Then, a Sumerian inventor had a revolutionary idea. What if, instead of dragging a sledge, you put it on rollers? What if you refined that roller into a solid disc that rotated on an axle? In that moment, the wheel was born. This invention transformed transportation and trade. The Sumerians were also master observers of the world around them. Sumerian society was a complex structure, a pyramid with the gods at the very top. They believed that humans were created for one purpose, to serve the gods. They worshipped a vast pantheon of deities. Anu, the sky; Enlil, the wind and storms; Enki, water and wisdom. Just below the gods in the pyramid of power was the king. The Sumerians believed that kingship was handed down from heaven. He was the god's representative on earth, a warrior, a judge, a high priest all in one. For the common person, life was a cycle of hard work tied to the land. Most Sumerians were farmers, others were artisans, potters, metalworkers, weavers, brewers, specialization that defined city life. Their culture was rich with stories. The Epic of Gilgamesh tells of friendship, loss, and the meaning of human life. They lived a life of toil, community, and belief. No empire lasts forever. The Sumerian civilization, for all its brilliance, was no exception. One of the very things that gave them life, the rivers, also contributed to their demise. Centuries of irrigation brought mineral salts to the surface. Over time, the land became too salty to grow wheat. They switched to the more salt-tolerant barley, but it was a losing battle. The Sumerian world was never a single unified empire. It was a collection of warring city-states. Uruk, Lagash, and others vied for dominance over land and water rights. Internal strife sapped their strength while new groups rose around them. Semitic-speaking peoples like the Akkadians migrated in and learned from the Sumerians. Around 2334 BC, Sargon the Great conquered the city-states and created the world's first true empire. Though Sumerian culture briefly resurged, their political independence was lost. By 2000 BC, the Sumerians had vanished as a distinct people. For thousands of years, they were forgotten.